So guys, I am now back from Los Angeles. My WrestleMania weekend went off pretty great, but now we got to get down to the nitty gritty. I know a lot of you are talking about Vince McMahon, him being back in creative, him being back in power, the executive chairman of the new company between UFC and the WWE merger that might be happening with Endeavor. There's a lot to tackle here. We're going to talk about it real quickly. Now, if you guys are a little new to what's going on right now, basically a few days ago, CNBC first reported it that WWE and the Endeavor Group are in advanced talks for a deal that would merge Vince McMahon's wrestling and media company with the UFC. Then what do you know, a day later, people are reporting that the deal is virtually done. $9 billion from WWE, $12 billion from the UFC, all combining to bring together a $21 billion conglomerate that will be made up of UFC and WWE, all owned by Endeavor. So that's where this is all stemming from. WWE and UFC, after years of being apart and segregated, now they're in bed with each other. I say in bed like, they're teaming, but technically they're not. They're under the same parent company. If you guys watch Japanese pro wrestling, this is very similar to how Bushiroad basically owns New Japan Pro Wrestling, their television rights, as well as Stardom. Stardom and New Japan are still separate entities, but they're still owned by the same parent company. Another comparison that I'll do is Smart Water by Glacier and Dasani. Now, you would think two water companies, they're competing for the right to be number one. Obviously, none of them beat out Deer Park, but I digress. They're both battling to be number one, right? Except they're both owned by Coca-Cola. So it really doesn't matter who's number one. They're all under the same umbrella. If they wanted to, they could just join forces right now. But much like UFC and WWE, they're going to remain separate entities for the time being. When the merger comes, I don't know. As of right now, they're two separate entities, and from what WWE's saying, they're going to be two separate entities even after the merger. But that's the most Fortnite terms I could put this whole Endeavor deal into. But now let's talk about the real nitty gritty. And that's this old fucker not wanting to leave shit alone. Now mind you, Vince McMahon already came back and gave his daughter the boot. He's the new chairman, old returning chairman again of WWE, to the shock of absolutely nobody. But in this whole Endeavor deal, we learned some more news. That Vince McMahon is expected to be the executive chairman of this new WWE UFC publicly traded company Endeavor combination conglomerate Zaibatsu thing. Whatever concoction will come of this UFC and WWE deal, Vince McMahon is expected to be the chairman of it, while the Endeavor president, Mark Shapiro, will work as the CEO. Now, the owner of Endeavor is Ari Emanuel, which was also the guy right beside Vince McMahon in the latest interviews he's been doing with the rounds about this whole Endeavor project. And Ari Emanuel apparently was not going to let Vince McMahon leave the WWE. So from what I'm gathering from that information is that I don't think this deal between WWE and Endeavor would have happened unless Vince McMahon stayed as the chairman. Because why would he be so adamant on keeping Vince McMahon in WWE if he really did not care about him in the first place? Because he sees value in Vince. Despite his creative downfall, Vince McMahon is a proven businessman. He's a proven figurehead. He knows how to get around. He knows what to do. He knows how to conduct and handle business. I'm not saying Triple H doesn't, but Vince McMahon has more years on him, and he practically owns the WWE. So in the business world, Vince McMahon has more value than Triple H does, which again is why they kept him. I also heard from somebody else that he and Vince are good friends, so that could be a factor too. Basically, to sum all that up, unless you put a knife to this man's neck and push through, he ain't going no damn where. No matter how many lawsuits he gets, no matter how many women come forward, no matter how much debt he gets into, no matter what happens, he is still going to remain the chairman. He's still going to find a way back into the company. It's honestly impressive how he evades all of this trouble after so many decades. He gets away with it all. At this point, fucking investigation. We need a study done on this man. I feel like there's stuff to be learned from this man about how to evade shit like the law and the government and responsibility. I don't know. But you guys already saw the clip of Vince McMahon talking about his creative role in WWE.
Yes and no. On a higher level, yes. In the weeds, which you always love to get in the weeds in the past. No, can't do that.
You guys heard it here in that interview. Vince McMahon said he will not get involved in the weeds. He's only going to be involved in a higher level. And mind you, that interview was done Monday morning. The news was already hitting the airways before Monday Night Raw even started. So you would think, WWE having all this attention with the Endeavor deal, they're going to put on a good show. They proceed to have one of the worst shows ever. This is the Raw after WrestleMania. I know it's not a big deal as it used to be, but really? This is horrible. And let me tell you something. I was literally staying in a hotel right across the street. I mean, I'm talking about like, I walk 5 minutes, I'm right at Crypto Arena. I could have walked to Monday Night Raw and went. And I had 3 different friends willing to pay for me to go to Monday Night Raw. Shout out to Alex, Alejandro, and Fallback. They offered me tickets. And stuff happened, and I was like, listen, y'all, like, honestly and truly, I don't care that much about going to Raw. I went to WrestleMania. I got my fix of wrestling this weekend. If I don't go, I don't go. And as luck may have it, I didn't go. And thank God I didn't, because the show, from what I hear, was horrible. I ain't heard not one positive thing come out of that goddamn show. Maybe the Riddle return, but like, okay, like, 1 out of like, what, 1,100 bad things that happened? I'm sitting here like, man, Triple H really took a shit on the script, huh? Then the day after this man said he was not going to be involved in the weeds of things is the day that the report comes out that he was heavily involved in the creative process of Monday Night Raw, which, mind you, is one of the worst Raws of all time. His very first show back heavy on creative is one of the worst ones. And you can't sit here and call, oh, he's a bit rusty. Like, Raw wasn't that good. Actually, Raw was pretty bad when he was in charge. Raw and SmackDown didn't really start getting good until Triple H took over in August of last year. And I ain't gonna sit here and say the shows were perfect, because they definitely weren't. But they were way better than the shows that Vince was running. For years, fans have been complaining about the current direction of WWE, wanting fresh eyes and a new vision, and here comes Triple H right at the helm, taking control and doing all this stuff with Raw and SmackDown. The fans are liking it, generally and mostly liking it. And the very second this man gets back in power is the second he must take that all away from Triple H. Because he needs his little hands over every little thing. He needs to micromanage every little thing. He can't let Triple H have any fun. It has to be him. And I know Triple H is technically still the content chief officer, but he has to answer to Vince now. Vince has final say, which was not the case for the last several months. There were reports about script rewrites happening during his show. I saw the clip of Seth Rollins having his segment cut mid-show. Like, this is the bullshit we about to be experiencing now? Oh, let me not say we. I ain't gonna be watching that shit. Listen, I wasn't watching Raw for several years up until Triple H started running shit. And now that you telling me that Triple H is not running shit and the guy that was running stuff when Raw was bad is back, yeah, trust me, I don't have an issue not watching Raw again. Like, obviously, I'll be watching clips on YouTube and watching the pay-per-views for content purposes or content purposes only. But as far as full fan investment back in WWE, if Vince McMahon is really back, that is all gone. Like, I'm not. I value my time too much to give it to a show that's going to repeatedly give me bad television. To a show that's going to annoy me, affect my mental health, I refuse. And listen, AEW has not been at its strongest in the last few months. It's been boring at weeks, but it hasn't been dog shit. Raw last night, that was dog shit. Listen, you can call me a traitor, you can call me a bandwagon, you can call me whatever the fuck you want, I really don't care. But if AEW's delivering good television and WWE's not, guess what I'm watching? AEW. Because for the last several months, WWE was delivering good television and AEW was not. And I was watching WWE and a lot of you saying, oh, you turned your back on AEW. Like, no, I didn't. I am just watching what I enjoy. And I damn sure am not about to watch something that I don't enjoy. So if Vince is back and that means the show is about to start going to hell, I'm not going with it. Now, what would you guys do? I'm not too sure. Honestly, truly, if you do not like Vince's direction and you're not a fan of programming, I advise you do what I do and just don't watch it. Hate watching ain't gonna change it. Vince is set in his ways. He's not gonna change it because the fans want it. If it ain't what Vince wants, it's not happening. You guys know this already. And sometimes you gotta hit him when it hurts. You gotta hit him in the wallet. You gotta hit him in the ratings. Your viewership is important to them. Obviously, you and you alone ain't gonna change shit. But the more people tune out, the more Endeavor starts to look at that. And they start to ask, what's going on here? And that could have implications on how creative goes in the future. Which is why I'm always a big advocate for not watching something that you honestly do not like, unless you genuinely want to see it improve. And trust me, I do want to see WWE improve, but if the track record is the same as it was when he was involved, it won't improve. Which is why I am grateful for the last 8 months of television that Triple H has gave us. And I sincerely hope that within the next few weeks, SmackDown does not go down the same hill that Raw just went down. And I'm not saying Raw is over, but that ain't a good first look. SmackDown's been a show for a long time, and if that starts to become like a C-level show, then I don't want nothing to do with that WWE. I'm sorry. But what do you guys think? Comment down below. Let me know. Let's get a discussion started about Vince McMahon and WWE. Like, follow, comment. Talk to you guys later. Peace.